It's always sad when a brand new game is teased and it ends up looking really good, but then it launches and it has super predatory microtransactions, and that is exactly what has happened with Fragpunk because leading up to launch, a lot of people were pretty excited. It was supposed to be a free-to-play epic experience, but it is bogged down by major microtransactions, and there's even AI art in paid items. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, obviously, I understand that when a game is free to play, companies need to make money. They need to sell items, whether they are weapon skins or outfits or things like that, that end up bringing them in a few bucks, hopefully per person. They think that, okay, well, we need to make this money, and surely if we create something that's good enough, people will show up to swipe their credit card. But microtransactions are not very micro anymore. Companies basically just view gamers as walking wallets and think that we will shell out money just for the latest and greatest experience, even though they're providing to us a really mediocre kind of trade-off. And that seems to be happening with Fragpunk because right now gamers are not happy by these major, as they're still calling them, microtransactions, but the fact that there is AI art in paid items. If we were talking about, I don't know, an indie studio, right, happening to use a couple of AI images for some promo material, but there was also a mix of art made by real human beings, I think a lot of people could look past that because as an indie studio, games are definitely expensive to make, and sometimes it is hard to find an artist who really suits your vision for something without having to pay a bunch of your marketing budget towards it. But that is not the case here. We are talking about a studio that is owned by NetEase. Okay, so they have a giant amount of money, but they're also using this AI art not just in like promo material on like, I don't know, a social media feed, but in paid items. So let's start off with this first article that talks about Fragpunk players being frustrated by the major microtransactions. So if you don't know what Fragpunk is, it is a 5v5 hero shooter, which we've seen a lot of launching over the past couple of years. I'm sure that you all remember what happened with Concord and how that ended up dying. I do think that obviously hero shooters can still work. Look at something like Marvel Rivals, for example, majorly successful, but you do still need to provide people with a really good experience, and well, any sort of enjoyment gamers are having from this are being bogged down. It says it has launched to a rocky start, with players expressing frustration over the game's heavy microtransaction system. Fragpunk came out on March 6th, and although it boasts a decent player count, players have voiced various concerns. It is a free-to-play hero shooter developed by Bad Guitar Studios, featuring a shard card system that allows Fragpunk players to change the gameplay rules, and this includes features like reviving teammates, alternate jumping heights, stopping enemies from healing, and more. These actually do sound like really cool systems, don't get me wrong, but as soon as I heard about the really bad microtransactions, it just made me not want to download it. Like many other free-to-play games, it has a heavy monetization system that has players upset. The game currently has mixed reviews on Steam, with fans complaining about several aspects, but the main concern is related to the overwhelming amount of microtransactions. It starts with the fact that Fragpunk has 9 different currencies, which players regard as absurd. That is really absurd. It has 2 premium battle passes. One's already usually too much for players, never mind 2. 2 different memberships and a weapon and lancer skin cards, with some players even accusing the developer of creating the game just to sell skins. Look at something like Marvel Rivals. I think that that's a really good comparison. While, yes, it does have a really big IP behind it, and I do think that is part of its success, ultimately that game does not nickel and dime you. Sure, it's got a premium battle pass that you can buy if you want, but that battle pass stays around forever. So let's say it takes you 4 years to get through that one battle pass, you still can. It's not like it's on a time crunch. It's not like it's $30 for a month worth of battle pass. Those things are not the case. They've been releasing a lot of characters, and there's no pay to win within the game. You're just buying things like the outfit skins and like weapon skins and things like that, which are ultimately really good because, again, they're making money from a game, but they're also not expecting you to, I don't know, obtain 9 different forms of currency, which is absolutely insane to me. And sure, you can obtain some of these currencies within the game by just playing the game, which is good. But when there are 9 different currencies, I'm sorry, they are not expecting you to just ultimately play the game to obtain them. Now, just to take a quick peek at the breakdown, it sounds so freaking bad. So 5 of the 13 Lancers are available at launch, with the others costing about 20,000 gold or 488 Fragpunk coins, or the equivalent of $5, which isn't dissimilar to a game like Apex Legends, but that means if you want to obtain this item by just playing the game via the gold, it's going to take you weeks to obtain enough. But things get more egregious when we take a look at the monthly membership. This isn't a battle pass, don't you worry, there are more than one of those as well, which costs $9.99 a month. This gets you access to the premium battle pass and some premium currency, all of the Lancers for free, and some weapon skins. But that being said, you might get the premium battle pass for free, but the ultimate pass is an extra $20. And the worst part about this is, for $20, if that membership expires, they take that content that you earned away from you. So you're basically just paying for a license within a free game. There are also gacha mechanics. It costs around $300 to get your hands on a special knife, and this person had spent thousands of Fragpunk coins with the free currency the developers gave them on the pre-release version of the game, just to test how much you'll actually need to spend. And don't worry, I didn't get to keep it. Like all gacha, the game drip feeds you currency to roll on the knife, with plenty of fluff rewards packed into the pool to thin out your odds of getting something good. And this is very frustrating because I've told you guys before, I quite like Apex Legends because the gameplay is really fun, but I never thought the monetization for it was good. It also felt far too extensive. It felt like there were way too many systems with way too many forms of these microtransactions, and well, Fragpunk is definitely the same. And the game has been kind of raked across the coals by gamers. It held a mixed on Steam when this article was published. It is currently sitting at a positive, so it has gone up by a little bit, though I just feel like a lot of people really are not playing this game, so you're not ultimately seeing hundreds of thousands of reviews being added at all times, so it's not going to fluctuate too much. I'm sure it's going to drop down into the mixed again, judging by the scores that it currently has. And as you can see, there are quite a lot of people playing it. It's definitely so far been a positive experience for Bad Guitar Studios. 113,000 people all-time peak 2 days ago, though again, if you look at something like its direct competition like Marvel Rivals, I mean, there's really no comparison from the launch all-time peak of 644,000 people in game. And every single day that game's drawing in, 200,000 to 300,000 people at its peak, which is still, pretty good. But going on to the second article about Fragpunk, it seems to get worse, which is kind of crazy. But over the past few months, there's seemingly been a sharp rise in AI-generated artwork across gaming and other forms of media. Call of Duty finally revealed its use of AI months after being called out for showing off a 6-fingered zombie. Another Activision franchise, Guitar Hero, was slammed for using AI art in its reveal images. Again, if we were talking about like an indie studio, I think a lot of people could look the other way when it comes to like load screen images, but the problem is it's Activision Blizzard, a company that makes billions and billions of dollars. I mean, they have Microsoft behind them, right? They definitely have the money to pay artists. There were also accusations levied against the new Fantastic Four movie, and a game revealed at the Game Awards, Catly, with the game's developers fervently denying the claims, but it is now suffering AI art accusations, and players are even threatening to quit the game. There are various examples of potential AI artwork that have been brought to light in Fragpunk. One of the most egregious comes from the Reddit post embedded above, in which the character Circuit clearly only has 4 fingers, and this actually seems to be like a running theme with AI art, and typically how you can tell if something is AI art or not, because characters' fingers are usually messed up. They're either really disfigured, or they're missing a certain amount of fingers, or sometimes they have extra fingers. That's typically a telltale sign, and otherwise this art, you wouldn't really be able to tell that it's AI except for the fingers. And That is what is really worrying to a lot of people because AI is, it's becoming harder and harder to detect. And one day, let's say in a year and a half, the fingers are no longer an issue. Well, then you're not going to be able to tell at all, really. Fragpunk features dozens of negative reviews which call out the practice. One reviewer said, while the gameplay itself is quite enjoyable, I cannot in good faith recommend a game that blatantly uses AI art and asset creation, especially in paid items. A second added, was and did have a lot of fun playing, but if AI art is used, I uninstall and play the competitor's FPS game. And a third review read, this game uses generative AI artwork. If you look carefully, they are in full support of issues such as feathers that are incorrect, foliage that doesn't make sense. Let's not support soulless AI art. So generally people are enjoying the experience, but there are really bad processes that were used in creation of this game, like the AI, also the predatory microtransactions, which you can't even really call them that anymore, have definitely brought down the experience for a lot of people. So I do wonder if they will end up addressing this, if they will try to kind of clear the air. I'm sure that if they did, they'd probably say, oh, we didn't use AI art, even though we can clearly tell they did. But as of right now, players are really, really frustrated by the microtransactions and the AI art, and it seems that a game that could have went over really positively is just being brought down a couple of notches because the developers were seemingly lazy and the publisher decided, you know what, let's monetize this to hell and back. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.